Hey guys, welcome to Power Tools. Today I'm going to be lifting my grandpa's golf cart. Got a lift for 180 bucks and spray painted it with some dark metallic spray paint. We got the come along onto the trolley and we're gonna get this thing lifted. Got some super sweet ATV wheels and yeah, see if we can't get this thing up 6-8 inches. Let's do it. Alright, first step is to get your wheel covers off, the flathead screwdriver, and a 19mm socket to get the wheels off. I just replaced all the suspension components in here, so sucks them in here again, but you can see everything's nice and lubed up, so it should be easy to disassemble. It says we're going to reuse our hub, so I'm going to pull out our cap and get the nut and the cotter pin out of there. To get your cap off, all you do is get a flathead, then you have a cotter pin. You want to squeeze the ends closed so it'll come through easier. You get into the eyelet. It's the same as a car. I like to put the needle nose in, give it a tap to pop that out, and I put the cotter pin into the dust cap. Whenever you install these, you always go to the tightest point that you can get the cotter pin in, then you back it off and make sure that the hub can free spin. And once you get the nut off, be careful not to lose your washer and hold your bearing in. You don't want to lose your wheel bearing. And if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know how much I like to keep everything in the same place so I don't lose stuff or forget how it goes back together. So this whole assembly will go right off to the side of the cart that I'm working on with my cotter pin and dust cap all in one little spot. Now we got to take apart the lower, I guess you could call it a kingpin, I don't know. All this stuff has to come off. So keep it simple, put everything back together. Alright, I'm going to explain this to you guys because I was a little stumped on it myself. They want you to take off all the original suspension components, right? So the A-arms have to come off the top. But I was wondering, that bracket up there, how do you take that off? Because it's welded to your steering rack, the whole thing. If you take it off, you'll have no stability. It looks like you leave that, you just take out the A-arms and the leaf spring, and the new suspension is entirely underneath the frame. So this beefy box goes below instead of on top like the original. That's how you get the 6-inch out of it. So I'm going to take off the other A-arm and then take these U-bolts out. Oh, they're not U-bolts in this case. These bolts out that hold the bottom leaf on, and I'll do it off camera because it's kind of stuffy in there. The instructions do not tell you how to assemble this, so you got to kind of look at the ad on eBay to figure it out. But there you go. It's washer and plastic bushing, washer, spacer, washer, plastic bushing, washer, nut. And then you have to take the nut out of the leaf spring and then put it up in the top. And when you look at it, I believe the front of the cart should have the holes farther out. And if you look at the arms, they kind of bend backwards, and that should be back towards the back of the cart. got the whole suspension mounted up. You use the original bolts that came off of the factory one, and it goes up right into the holes. It's a little tricky to find them at first, but you get the hang of it. It sticks out real far, but that's how it's supposed to be. The next step is putting these new top control arms on where your suspension will mount, so you don't have to get different shocks. It works off of the same. Pretty good idea. I made some good progress and learned some things. I ran all the bolts head from the bottom up. That doesn't work on these ones in the front because your upper control arm will hit it, the A-arm here. Doesn't have enough clearance, so run the bolt from the top down so you can have more clearance suspension travel wise for this. The bottom one is going to have a nut on the outside of the lower control arm and on the inside because it's not threaded. The top has threads, so it's only going to be on the outside. What you're going to want to do to get, you know, it's a golf cart, it's not that big of a deal. So to get it reasonably cambered correctly, I'm just going to go in from the outside of the bolt here, and we're going to put it on and go to 1 inch on the inside of the threads, and we'll do that on both. There we have it on both sides. The next thing we got to do is put the spindles on here, which is going to be hopefully nice and simple. This kit comes with some hex bolts that go into the top, and I'll show you putting those on. I'm going to go ahead and grease everything up real good. We love grease around here. Even if it's unnecessary, it's not unnecessary to use some grease. Get this castle nut off of your steering assembly there. This is brand new and it's already looking real rough. So put a bunch of grease onto that. That's what turns the golf cart, so it's going to be under a lot of stress. Okay. You're going to take your fresh spindle here, set it down at the bottom. Get it relatively there. It's a little hard to tell sometimes if you're cross-threading it or not because these are painted from the factory and the paint is a little, you know, interfering with the threads. So always do this by hand. Don't put some massive impact with a Allen key on it. It's better to take a little longer and not make it take days. And the moment we've all been waiting for. I like. That's what we're talking. Maybe I'll just leave it like this. Huh? Good. Oh, it looks so cool. Love it. So it looks pretty good, but you can see the top is too far out. So to remedy that, we left these loose so we can take them out and take these hooks in and that will bring the top of the wheel in to fix that. So, if I lacked a high school diploma, I would leave it like this. The gas pedal seems to not work too much. There we go. Got the rear end lifted up onto the trailer hitch thing on the frame, and loving it. I mean, this is going to be awesome. So it's a good example of how much it got raised. We got to pop these rear wheels off now. So I figured it'd be easier to just explain how the rear works other than show you on video, because it was very challenging. It took forever. So there's a top bracket that comes in the kit. You use your old suspension because it has a little dog foot over there, dog leg. You put the block over the axle. And there's a centering one that you put a bolt into, and then you use the stock bottom one. And then you run these bolts with nuts on the bottom. So you got to take out your leaf springs. You got to put a floor jack under the rear end, drop the rear end down, so you can put this bracket on here, and then you can get that underneath. So yeah, it was a definitely an experience. Sucked. Ooh-wee. Look at that. If that is not the coolest thing you've seen since the birth of Christ, you're wrong. So if you're doing this at home, I was wondering why I couldn't get the motor to drop down so I could put both leaf springs in. Well, turns out there's a ground right there that goes onto the starter chassis ground, and it ripped out. It was holding the whole motor up. So cart wouldn't start once I put the rear lift in. So I took some steel cable and just, you know, put electrical tape around the two, real thick, and now it's good. So keep that in mind. I was all like, I had to rip something out, which was running perfectly fine before. So that was it. Well, that's pretty much it for the golf cart. It was a long day. Supposed to be a short little job, but you know how that goes. It ended up being like 6 hours because, to be honest, I just didn't know what I was doing. So next one, maybe 3, maybe 4 hours, but you know, I had no clue in this one. So hopefully you guys got to skip out on some of the question marks that the Chinese instructions left out and do it a little faster than I did. But overall, super happy. 180 bucks, can't beat it. The wheels are about 200 with tires. They're a little dry rotted, but they hold air enough. So pretty sweet. With the wheels, I'm thinking we have around an 8-inch lift. I forgot to measure beforehand, but I love it. Highly recommend.